Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining me for today's World Session. Today we are Friday, March 15th. I can't believe that spring is just around the corner. So I was tuning in, and what we're going to work with today is resignation. We're going to work today with resignation and the topic of makes me and blame. So I'm just trying to put this together. I'm just going quiet to put this together in a way because I could feel it. It really messes with the internal organs and all of the systems. And I haven't quite seen it this way before. So now I know that this is a general colloquialism that we use in today's society. He makes me, she makes me, that made me feel, which really throws off the system, right? So it's saying that the feelings that you experience are someone else's responsibility. And then it kind of, for me anyway, I could feel it within myself. You can see what it does for you, throws me into this disempowered space of victim, and I can't take any kind of practical action. I can't do anything to help myself. And it actually, I could feel it eroding the systems, eroding the strength of my cells, my body, my muscular system, that blame victim of saying that we say this all the time, even kids say, it's not my fault, they made me. It's not my fault. Whatever he said, she said, made me feel. So this is something that's within us. So if I am being triggered by something on the outside, something, life comes and it triggers me. Let's say there's a person that cuts me off while driving, or my children say something to me and then it triggers feelings within me. All of those, the trigger is neutral. It's just a happening. But there's something within me, within my nervous system, within my body mind, from my past experience, so basically through childhood, that is triggered again, that is brought up to the surface, this old wound, that what I already think about myself resurfaces with this neutral trigger that rubs off on that wounding, that rubs that discomfort or that vulnerable spot within me, or something I don't want to look at. And so life happens, it's happening. So whether someone cuts you off in traffic, or let's say your child says something to you, a coworker, a friend, your animal does something, and it triggers you. And then blame, victim consciousness rises up, defensiveness rises up. And then, oh, she made me feel. And so then I could really feel that resignation and apathy. And it's such a compassionateless place for the wound that's coming to the surface. And what do we do usually? We want to stuff it down. We want to hide it. We want to put a mask on it. I don't want to feel bad anymore, so I'm going to avoid what I'm feeling. I'm going to avoid my wounding. I'm going to avoid the opportunity to heal. There's something coming, rising up to the surface. So I could feel this apathy. It's really coming in through, and that resignation. So I could feel it through the cells, vibrating and weakening the genome. It's kind of like a corrosive. It's like slowly eating away at the cellular structure. So we're working in a few places within the body. Now with body talk sessions, it's just so beautiful. It's just such a magical modality. I just call it magical because I don't know how it happens, but shifts happen. And they happen not only through your physical structure, so physical health improves, but we're also tending to the emotional, mental body. We're also dealing with your soul, though. So there's a deep soul healing and spirit. And all of these multi-layered healings vibrate out into your life. So I'm in what I'm looking at specifically for this degeneration, the resignation, the apathy. So apathetic towards what you're experiencing. It's a complete giving up. I don't care. I really don't, like, I'm just so apathetic, and then resigned to your apathy. Well, no matter what I do, nothing's going to change. I've done it so many times and nothing has changed. And then, oh, well, it's not my fault. Life, look at all of my proof of life's happenings to show me how much I'm a victim. I'm a victim to my life. Life just happens to me. It's the same old, same old. And resignation and apathy move in a little bit deeper. Instead of being visitors, they make themselves nice and cozy, and then they bring their cousins. Whew. So I'm feeling really dizzy on this, and I'm right in that bone marrow. So the marrow of the bone links also to ancestry. So all of your personal ancestry. So your personal heritage. So you can see where your parents were apathetic and resigned, your grandparents, and then through the line, it kind of gets hand me down through the generations, all of these rules and recipes. There's a nice burp for release over there. So we're going to start to break up that stickiness of resignation and apathy, and under the story of makes me. I haven't really quite seen this before in this way, but it really distorts. It distorts not only the bones. I could see like a weakening of the bones. This makes me, well, I have no choice. It just makes me, they make me, and I have no power in my life. So we're gonna dump this through the bone marrow as what we call in Body Talk the Big Four. It's a part of the consciousness. If you're interested, you can take a class. I'm not going to go through all the nitty gritty, but we're basically dumping all of the filters and recipes through that bone marrow to all of the aspects within your life where you blame and you say you have no choice and this makes you. So whether that blame is self-blame or whether your blame is outward towards others, life, circumstance, we're dumping it all. And maybe there is a combination of both. So we're dumping all of this makes me. So you can even try to the forcing within yourself. Oh, I have to do this. I have no choice. I have no choice. We're dumping all of that through Big Four, through the bone marrow. And this is clearing up. I could see it linking into that bone marrow, linking up into the kidneys, which is where our ancestral chi is held. We don't want to be tapping into our ancestral chi. But that resignation and apathy seems to you, I'm seeing that it's really hard on the kidneys. It's really hard on that ancestral chi. It burns it up. We don't want that ancestral chi being used. No, we want that for our very old senior years. Because once that ancestral chi is used up, then that's the end of it. That's actually the end of your life. We don't want to be using that ancestral chi. We want to be receiving our energy through food, sun, water, rest, sleep, even relationships where, there's a nurturing, there's a restorative relationship. It's a healthy, it's mutually beneficial, not those vampire relationships, but those mutual, those relationships that help you and feel supportive and loving. That's where we get our daily chi from. So this is being linked in. We're going into the kidneys and we're going to drain from there as well as a body chemistry. It's coming up as an intolerance to that victim mentality, that victim role that we that may play in your life, even if it's unconscious, even if you have no idea that you're either victimizing yourself or someone else, even if you have no idea that you're blaming. So whether you're blaming yourself or someone else, it really weakens the filtration system of the kidneys, and it's coming up as an intolerance to victim. It's an intolerance to playing that victim role. And being a victim or being in that victim space is actually false strength. Now, I know that this may be, how, Monica, how in the world? Now, if there's a victim of of something, how could they actually be, in this powerful role? Well, if I'm victimized in my life, or if I'm saying I'm the victim, well, then I get to really play up feeling sorry for myself or get other people to feel sorry for me. I get a lot of attention. It's very powerful. I get to blame and justify my actions. I get to get away with, let's say, bad behavior, or even abusing. So we're dumping that out of the kidneys, and I can see it going down through the whole urinary system. And we're bringing anger in here, healthy anger, to move out this old junky recipe of victim and blaming myself or blaming others. You can see, or resignation and apathy. So we're bringing in that anger to move that out of the kidneys, and we're balancing out the kidneys through a body chemistry of an intolerance to victimizing. So either being a victim. So this is actually two ways. It's coming up two ways. So either you victimize yourself or you play the victim. So you can blame yourself or you can blame others, or you could be, when someone, let's say in your life, says, it's your fault. Oh, so we're dumping that out of the bilateral kidneys, and we're linking this into the bladder. Now we need to do a little bit of a structural bladder repair. It just feels like bladder has given up. Just like, well, so the natural emotion of bladder is anger. So that's where we get so pissed off. So pissed off. That's the bladder. And it just feels like anger is just like, it just feels deflated. It feels like a, when you take a balloon, you blow it up nice and round, you go, and then it's just kind of this wobbly balloon. So the anger, it gets stagnant in there. So the urine's stagnant. There's some urine buildup. I can actually see it. So we need to do a pH balance to the urine so it's not too acidic. And then we need to do a repair. We're going to blow up that, not blow it up, but give it some structure. Give that bladder some structure. Give it some space so the urine can move. So there's a nice stream when you pass urine, that it's nice and strong, that there's no urine buildup within the bladder, and so that urine's not going and eating away at the inside lining, which is also anger, right? It has resentment, resending the same stories over through the system. And this resentment is actually I could feel it in the bladder. Those same pissed off stories over and over and over again. And then, well, there's nothing I can do about it. I'm just a victim. There's no choice. I have no choice. I'm just going to resign myself to what's happening and completely stay in apathy. So we're going to help that bladder shift. We're going to do a Vivaxis. We're going to lift it up, give it some room, let that anger move through. So the anger is coming in a healthy way. It moves, it catalyzes its movement. So moving those stagnant thoughts out of that bladder, letting it, opening up that stream and letting the urine go ahead and leave your body. So literally letting go of what no longer serves you. Not that holding on to resentment and apathy. Anger is coming in, and also it shows a lot of choices. It's like, oh, it's coming through and it's moving. It's kind of in this sense, it's catalyzing thinking, catalyzing thought. Oh, I never thought about it that way. Let me ask someone a question. Let me go on a search engine and let me look this up. Let me sit with myself and see what's really happening. So this anger is coming in to catalyze thinking, and it's actually going to improve, which is within, well, the three brains, so small intestines, heart, and head. We want those three brains working together. It's actually, we're one gigantic brain, and we say three brains in body talk, but it's actually one whole body mind. You've got your head brain, which is, you've got to need a good solid brain, good healthy brain. It's the CEO of the body, but it's not the thing responsible for decision making. You don't want to be making decisions from your head. So this is where those sayings like follow your heart, listen to your gut. I don't say follow your brain. That's not really what's needed. But we do need a healthy, logical brain to help cut through the dross, that logical thinking, like, well, does this really make any sense? What am I really saying? What do you mean? What do you really mean by that? I don't understand. Can you clarify for me? What am I actually trying to say? Let me try to refine my thinking, not just following my thoughts and letting them kind of whip me about. What am I really saying? What am I really saying? So we need that sharp mind to be refined, to walk on the razor's edge of the tension of opposites, right? Not being swayed from right and wrong, really walking that midline, which is the shushumna through our body, that midline through our body, right? The nice and arrow, right? So you can kind of see that, playing with the tension of opposites of, oh, hold on, I'm moving. Oh, I think I'm right. I think I'm wrong. They are right. They are wrong. We're staying in this line of curiosity with no attachment. There's no attachment to being right or wrong or defensive or proving. It's really being curious about what you're saying, and having a really sharp mind to cut through the dross. I just see it like a big sword cutting through the excess. So I'm going to balance that brain, improve its function, linking that to the heart. The heart brain is, it's part of, they actually found brains of the similar cells of the brain in the heart. So the heart actually spews out, it gives out rise to thoughts. So the heart is also really responsible for thought processes. So it depends on what you really feel about yourself, those core beliefs about yourself at the heart of the matter. And that's where you want to go and look. Ooh, there is a big release on that. So we'll do a beautiful balancing to the heart brain in relation to the head, so that the heart and the head are speaking, so that the head's not making all the decisions, and that the heart is really nice and clear. Not those belief systems or defensiveness. We don't want to be making those heart-based decisions from defensiveness or either victim mentality. Oh, there's a nice breath. I'm feeling so much tension at the back of my head and feeling pain in the front of my head as I'm going through this. Now we're going to move into the gut. We want a healthy, healthy gut. This is that intuition, those gut responses, which are honest. It will not lead you astray. Your gut will not lead you astray, but you need to have an anchored mind. So it's very easy to confuse or conflate intuition with thinking. Oh, my intuition tells me this, and it tells me this, and it tells me this, but it's just a stream of thought. We want that mind to be nice and anchored so intuition can rise, and that could be your life's compass. That will lead you, without any justification. When it's clear, you don't need to justify. You don't need to prove. You don't need to show your recipes. You don't need to keep talking about it over and over again. It's just very, very clear. So we want this whole body mind to be working in unison. We need all three brains to be clear and healthy. Now moving into the actual brain. How it just weird pulsing feelings through this congestion, and I'm feeling the pressure of but. But. And so those but seem to be actual blockages in to curiosity, to asking questions, and keeps us in the same old, where there's an infinity amount of choices, an infinity amount of roads. The yeah buts limit what we see. It's like those blinders. I only see this one way, but actually there's 25,000 different ways of doing this one thing. How many different ways can you wash the dishes? How many different ways can you cut an apple? How many different ways can you prepare eggs, for example? Infinity. It's just never ending. And if you ask different people, they have different ways of preparing like that food. So let's say if you're stuck in somewhere in life and you're mulling over the same thing, and the thing that you're coming up against when you're looking for a different perspective is your yeah but. So let's say you go and ask for advice for something, and the person gives you a little wisdom, like, oh, this little negative wisdom, and your first response is yeah but. Those are the things that you need to be exploring, in the sense of, well, are you really open to shifting? Are you really open to change? I don't like that so much. But those yeah buts seem to be the deterrent, seem to cut off any life. It's like, well, this is what it is, and that's the end of that. And so I could feel that pressure within the brain connectome, that those synapses, those new neural connections that want to be made, are not joining up. Those yeah buts seem to be cutting off any kind of new awarenesses that may come, or any shifts in perspective. And the flexibility, the brain needs to be flexible. We don't want a hardened brain, a rigid brain, those rigid people that are very strict. It's like, no, this is the only way, and you must do it my way because this is the only way. That's a very rigid brain, a very rigid nervous system. We want the brain to be plastic. I want my brain to be malleable and move and curious and playful. I want new old connections that are ready to drop off, to just fade away, and then new neural connections be made. I want my brain to be regenerating. I want curiosity. I don't want a set mind. I don't want a mind set. That mindset is actually the thing that blocks whatever things that you're trying to, let's say, manifest or bring to you. It's like, no, well, I have to have it this way, and this is the only way that'll happen. And then you cut the rest of life off. So we're bringing in actually the sun to illuminate yeah buts, and then the sun is the best disinfectant. As soon as you bring the light in, as soon as you bring in awareness, it shifts. So we're bringing in the sun through that neural connectome to soften, to help that brain, that right and left brain talk, to soften. And it's almost like it's burning away the detritus of through the corpus callosum, those rigid beliefs about yourself. And as soon as I say this, so nice, I can feel my brain relaxing, and that feels so nice. And that's going to link into the pawns. We're bringing in some sun to the pawns. And that's all those deep core beliefs about yourself are held within that deep brain and the nervous system. So we're bringing in some sun to illuminate, for illumination, for new perspectives, for curiosity, for playfulness. It's like joy in the sun. So bringing in some joy, not taking yourself and life so seriously. All right. And we're going to link this to your prefrontal cortex. So this session, whatever's ready to be shifted in consciousness, whatever is ready to be released for you will be. And so whatever, there's not going to be any forcing. Your body, mind will just release what needs to, and the session will run over the next 3 days for a half an hour at 3 different intervals. So yeah, so let's say we'll run it at lunchtime, no morning, lunch, and evening. However, your body needs to do that for a half an hour each time. So it's an interactive, recursive session. So if you want to think about, it's like an upgrade for your phone. So it's going to upgrade and then it's going to upgrade again. So it's healing upon healing upon healing. All right, so I'm going to tap this in. I would love to hear from you, so you can shoot me a line on my Facebook page. You can find me on Instagram, of course, on YouTube. I'd love to hear your comments, or if you want to reach out to me personally, if you don't feel like sharing publicly, please go ahead and send me an email. I'm always so eager to hear from all of you. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I will see you all next week.